Hello everyone, welcome to the explanation. So in last video we covered the topic transaction and the acid property of transaction. So in today's video we'll be covering the topic transaction state. Okay, so if you are performing a transaction, so what are the steps that come in this transaction while the whole life cycle of the transaction. So we can also say that this is the life cycle of a transaction. Okay, so in a DBMS, a transaction generally goes through a number of steps. So here I'll be discussing all the steps here. So first step is the active state. Okay, in this state the transaction is being executed. So active state means the state in which the transaction is being executed. Next one is partially committed. This is the final operation of the transaction. Here the final operation of the transaction has been executed. It means that in this state the transaction has not been committed, it is partially committed. So if something happens in this partially committed state, it will go to the fail state. Okay, if any error occurs, it will go to the fail state. Number 3, it is the failed state. Here the transaction has encountered an error. If any error occurs, the state will go to the failed state. Next state is the aborted state. Okay, so what happened if any kind of issue, if any kind of error, or if any kind of resource allocation problem comes, so what happens is the transaction has been rolled back and the database is restored to its state before the transaction begin. Okay, so what happened in aborted state? In aborted state, the transaction has not failed. What happens is the transaction is rolled back to some consistent state and the transaction is restored. Okay, it means that it has been restored to some consistent state, and again the transaction can begin later. And the last stage is our committed stage. Here the transaction has been successfully completed and all changes have been saved to database. Okay, so this is our final stage. So after a transaction has been committed, it means that we are at the end of the transaction and all the changes has been made. For example, if you have 1,000 rupees in your account and if you want to debit it to your friend, okay, it means that while this processing is occurring, you are in all these stages like active stage, partial committed stage. If anything occurs, if any error occurs, so it will go to the fail state, and if some resource allocation problem or something occurs, it will go to the rollback state. Okay, it means that it will go to the aborted state and again the transaction will begin. And once you have done with your transaction, it is going to the commit state, and hence whatever money you have debited from account, it is going to be in your friend's account. Okay, so after commitment the value is permanent, you cannot change this. Okay, so let me draw the diagram of this states. So first state is, okay, as I told you, the first state is our active state. From this state we go to partially committed. Partially committed means still we have the risk to abort the transaction, and if in partially committed state, if something happens, we'll go to the failed state, or abort state. Okay, and if it is aborted, it is again going to the active state, and if nothing happens, we will go to the committed state. Okay, so in different books different diagram has been given, and this is one of the simplest diagram that we can see for this topic. Okay, so that's all for this topic. In next video I'll be coming with concurrent process or concurrent executions, we can say. Okay, till then stay safe and thank you.